Welcome back to another episode of Hot Takes, Hotter Mistakes. I am your host, Matteo El Tapatio. So today we're going to take a trip down memory lane and spend a wild night in Mexico. But before that, I want to tell you a story about bros before I'm not going to say it. My wife will hear it, come in here, beat me, and then I won't be able to do this podcast anymore, and that would suck. Anyway, fish bro trip down to the Texas coast. This particular trip, I was super excited about because one of my fish bros had bought me a new rod and reel for my birthday, and I wanted to go try it out. A lot of people say your first trip with your pole, you're not going to catch anything, but there's one guy in the fish bro group that knows where all the good fishing spots are, even if he didn't actually pick the spot. He'll tell you he did. So this particular trip, we also decided to take a kayak, right? Because we were going to paddle the baits way out there. Okay. Now I would normally wade way out there, but I don't want to have a non-consensual introduction to a sea cucumber. Hey, puppy, if you know what I'm talking about. So we get down there. Wind is kind of rough. Waves are pretty big, and I'm like, you know, guys, I don't know. I don't really think it's a good idea if I get in the kayak and go out there. And for some reason, I'm always the one that volunteers to do this shit that could either get you killed or hurt severely. So they talked me into it, and I think I had a little bit of liquid courage too. So I get in the kayak and I start to try to paddle, right? But the waves are so big that I'm paddling for like what seems like 5 minutes. And I look back and I'm 10 feet away from the beach. And I'm like, well, shit, this isn't going to work. So one of my buddies is like, you know what? I'll push you out past the first couple of breaks. That way you can get some speed going and get out there and get our baits out there. I'm like, okay, I was like, why don't I do a test run? I'll take my pole, just my single pole, before I strap everyone's bait to my kayak, and I'll just try to kayak out there a little ways, throw my rod a few times, maybe catch a few reds or whiting or whatever, but just give it a little test run, So he's like, all right, that'll work. So I sit my pole in my kayak. I put my El Tapatio hat on so that I don't get sunburned. And we start heading out. He starts pushing me out of the way. Well, the whole time, the first few waves are kind of hitting me. And I'm thinking, shit, this ain't going to work out too well, bud. But, I got my fish bro behind me. He's giving me that confidence. He's like, you got this, bro. You got this. Just paddle faster. I'm like, all right. So I'm trying to paddle. He's pushing me. Keep in mind, this kayak that we brought, it was my daughter's kayak. So it really wasn't designed for an adult, but it was small enough that it would fit in the back of the truck. So we figured, what the hell, we'll bring that one. So we're going, and as each wave hits me, I feel myself turning a little bit more to the side. And he's gently pushing me out. And in my head, I'm like, I'm not a sea captain, but I'm fixing to fucking capsize, right? And right about that time, he gives me a good push, and a wave just hits me, and I flip over and fall down in the water. Got salt all in my mouth and my eyes, and I feel like I'm fixing to drown. And then I jump up, and I'm like, huh. And I look over, and my hat had fallen off my head, and it's floating away. And I'm like, bro, my hat. And my fish bro's like, bro, your pole. And I see my pole going down in the water. Now here I had to make a decision. Do I dive for the pole that my fish bro bought me, right? Brand new, nice, probably costed $150. Or do I go after my hat? Most of you would say, grab the damn pole, man. The hat, it's like I spent $10 on it at a convenience store. But see, that's where you're not thinking this through. If I lose my hat, then I'm going to get a 3rd-degree sunburn. And when I come home, my wife's going to kick my ass. And then I'm not going to get to go fishing with the fish bros anymore. So the decision was actually pretty easy. But in the long run, it broke our heart because I didn't recover my fishing pole. It just went out into the sea. And I did get my hat, though. I did get my hat, and I didn't get sunburned. And I came home, and my wife was mad about other things, but not that I was sunburned. So, that was a good deal. But I probably should have went with my bro and grabbed the pole and just dealt with it when I got home. But you live and you learn. So now let's head on down to Mexico, because that's where things get a little crazy, right? So back, the year was, let's say 2000. I'm going to say 2000, 98, 99, 2000, 2001. That's all a blur back then anyway. So my wife and I and a couple friends decided, let's get a hotel down on the border so that we can cross over and go party in Mexico. That's what we used to do back then. It was a lot of fun, right? So we head on out probably about 7:30 or 8, right? It's just getting dark. And we're like, all right. So we cross over on the border. Everything's going great, going good. And we walk up and down there where we went, we were in the Laredo area. The bars there, the front of the bars open up. So it's not like a door you walk in, just the whole front opens up. So when you walk by a bar, you look in and you can see if it's full. You can see if there's people in there, you know, see what kind of music they're playing, whatever. So we passed by a couple of them and we were kind of trying to make the decision. Do we go into a really busy bar, right? Or do we just go in one that's quiet and we just kind of chill out, have a few cervezas, you know, kind of have fun, you know, kind of loosen up before we get wild. So we picked a particular bar that had maybe 2 people in it. So we walk on in, we sit down and start having a few. And, you know, we're having a good time and everything. We start talking to the guy that was there. I think he might have been the owner. And he was telling us, you know, how he was happy for us to be there and, you know, glad we could come in and everything else. And so the night kind of went on and you could see more and more people walking by the bar. And finally he came up and he's like, why do you think people aren't coming in here? And I couldn't tell why people weren't coming in because the music was good. The beer was cold. He was super friendly. And I'm like, be honest with you, I don't know, man. And he's like, you think you could get some of these people, some of these Americans to come in here? And I said, say less, mi amigo, but I am going to need a cerveza and that sombrero over there. All right. So my dumbass jumps up on the table, puts a sombrero on and starts dancing to the music, screaming. And I'm like, everybody say sup, sup, suppo, sup, sup, suppo. Right. And as people are walking by, I'm like, you're American, come in here, get in here, get in here, get in here. And, you know, people are looking at me like I'm fucking insane, which, I mean, I think we can all agree that's true. But it slowly started to work. One person would come in, then another person, then another person. And before you knew it, that whole bar was full of Americans, right? And the dude was so happy, man. He even told me and my friend, he's like, for the rest of the night, y'all's beers are half off. Even though I think they might have been 50 cents, so that would have been like a quarter. I don't know. Anyway, it wasn't expensive. Pretty cool, if you ask me, right? So things are going great, right? We're having a good time. The music's good, meeting new people. Just having a great time. That's when my wife decides, okay, so my wife likes the heavy metal music. So do I. Obviously, you can see my shirt, right? But we're not in a heavy metal bar and we're in Mexico. Okay. So she's like, yeah, I like this music. I like this music. I wish it was just a little heavier. I wish this music was a little heavier. And I'm like, well, we're not at a fucking Metallica concert. We're down in Mexico. We're at a bar, you know? Just enjoy it. Get with the vibe. Come on. So, you know, a couple more songs played. So she kept bringing it up again. I wish they would play something heavy. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, they don't have anything heavy. Have you listened to the playlist? We've heard 40 songs. Not one of them was heavy. Well, she wasn't satisfied, right? Because my wife, when she wants her way, she gets her way, right? I love her to death, but she's strong-willed, very strong-willed. So finally, she nudges the guy, and she's like, hey, do y'all have any heavy music that we could listen to? And he's like, looks at her. He's like, you want heavy music? She's like, yeah, I want some heavy music. And he goes, yeah, you, come with me. I'm like, me? He goes, yeah, come with me. I was like, okay. So we get up, and I'm thinking, I don't know where I'm going, right? is he going to walk me over to a jukebox? I didn't see a jukebox. No jukebox anywhere around here. There's some speakers up on the wall, but I don't know where the music's coming from, right? He's like, you, come with me. So we walk across the bar, and then we get to the wall, and there's a door there. And then I'm thinking, oh, he's going to take me over in this room, you know. At least that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. So he opens the door, and there's just a dark stairwell. And when I say dark, I mean not a single light. Okay? I can see the stairs from the light in the bar, but that's it. You can't see what's up there. It's completely pitch black, right? Now, even in normal circumstances, if I was in a bar here, that would give me a little bit of a pause. I would be like, well, okay, where am I going? Never had issues in Mexico, but I am in a foreign country. So part of me is a little scared, right? So I'm like, all right. He's like, go up the stairs. And I'm like, well, here goes. So I start walking up the stairs. Well, then the dude closes the door behind me. And at this point, it is pitch black. I can't see my hands, can't see anything. And when I'm telling you that my poop machine was doing Morse code, it was like beep, 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 beep. As I walked up the stairs, I was scared shitless. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what was on the top of the stairs. I couldn't see anything. All I thought is, well, here we go. This was fun. Time to, I don't know. You hear stories. I don't know. I didn't know what was fixing to happen to me, right? So anyway, we get to the top of the stairs, and then there's a little bit of a hallway. And at this point, I could kind of see some light coming from under a doorway, so I could see a little bit of the floor. And I'm like, oh, God. Okay. And then he points at the door, and he goes, go in. All right. So I open the door. And as soon as I open the door, there's a dude sitting there, back like this. He's like, hey. I'm like, hey. And there's a stack of cassette tapes, and there's a boombox or like a radio with some wires. That's what the sound system is, right? And I'm like, oh, thank God. So he says, this guy wants to hear some heavy music. The guy's like, heavy music? And I was like, yeah, heavy music. Do you have any heavy music? So the whole time I'm just freaking the fuck out, because I'm just like, first off, I'm pissed off at my wife, because I'm like, why couldn't you just enjoy the good music, you know? They were playing charanga. I'm like, that was good enough for me. The beer was cold. I had a good buzz going on. I didn't need to hear heavy music. I don't know why you needed to hear heavy music, but I'm up here in the sound booth now, and we're going to try to find some heavy music. So I start looking through all of the cassettes. And I'm like, and I mean, I'm telling you, it was like Willie Nelson, Bon Jovi, Kenny G, Simply Red, Boys the Men. And I'm going down just cassette by cassette by cassette. And he's like, pick some music. And I'm like, there's nothing in this deck that even resembles heavy music. And then part of me is like, I mean, they're being very friendly with me, but part of me is like, I'm still really nervous, you know? I'm like, what if I tell them, oh, I mean, I can't say, this isn't fucking heavy music, man. Where's your corn? Where's your Lamb of God? Like, back then, corn and Lamb of God wasn't, or at least Lamb of God wasn't around in 2000. Maybe they were. I don't know. I didn't know about them then. But anyway, so I'm going through the cassettes. And finally, I see Bad Company. And I'm in my head, I'm like, wait, Bad Company. Yeah, I'm thinking we can pull this off. We can pull this off, right? So I pointed, I was like, and acted really excited. Like, yeah, that one. I think I just tried to see Bad Company by Bon Jovi. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the band Bad Company, right? So anyway, so the dude takes it, puts it in, shuts it, and then he's like, I'll play it next. And I was like, okay. I think he had like a little double cassette thing, so that's how he was going from one song to the next, which, you know, you make do with what you have. It's fucking sounding great in there. Anyway, so we make our way back downstairs and we sit down. And I tell my wife, I'm like, listen, they ain't got shit in there that's heavy, okay? But with that being said, when this Bad Company song comes on, you better throw your hands in the air, headbang. I don't care what you have to do, but you are going to pretend that you have been waiting all night to hear that song. Do you understand? She's like, I don't understand. And I said, well, I was just led up a dark stairwell and I didn't know if I was going to live or die. And these gentlemen have been very nice to allow us to pick our own song. And they haven't done that with anyone else. So what you're going to do is when Bad Company comes on, you're going to lose your shit. Okay. She's like, oh, okay. Cause I think she could figure out at that point that I was kind of stressed out. Right. So anyway, the song plays, we're waiting. And all of a sudden it comes on and she played the part, man. She played the part. She's like, yes. And she starts singing and throwing her head back and forth. And I was like, all right. So needless to say, yeah, we had a good time. Everything ended up, you know, turning out okay. I will say though, on our way back, I get these little wild streaks sometimes, and I have my entire life ever since I was a child. But as we're making our way back across the border, right? We've been drinking beer all night, okay? My little TT tank was full, okay? And we're coming across the border. Now, I don't know if you've ever crossed the border in the Laredo area, but as you're walking over the bridge, there's a sign, and it has a line through it, and it says Mexico, United States. I don't know if if you can tell where this is going, but my dumbass comes up with this bright idea. Wouldn't it be cool if I was able to piss from one country to the other? I know what you're thinking. That's a dumbass idea, but mission accomplished. I stood there. I looked. It's pretty late. Nobody's coming across the border. Leaned back a little bit. Made sure I was on the Mexico side. And I can tell you, guarantee you, I didn't have video evidence back then because we didn't have phones. But the stream did cross over the line. So technically, I have pissed from one country to the other. I don't know that I'm really proud of that. I was probably 21 when I did this. So, I mean, you live and you learn, you know, I don't still, I'm not going to say I don't still, was it a mistake? I don't know that it was a mistake. I think it was pretty cool. Sort of. I mean, dumb in a way, but I was going to say, I don't think I make mistakes like that anymore, but people that know me and are around me would probably disagree. I will say the mistakes I make now don't carry jail time or, you know, they're not felonies or anything like that. Maybe misdemeanors, but nothing with any severe consequences. Yeah, that was a wild night. Oh, and to throw one more thing in there, it only gets better. So as we wrap up the weekend, right, we drive back. Okay, and at the time we lived in Waco, so we drive back, and I want to say that was probably an 8-hour drive, right? So we lived in Waco. So we had met our friends in I think they were living in the Round Rock area at the time, which is Central Texas. But that's a good 2 hours away from Waco, or an hour and a half maybe. So we get back, and we're like hugging goodbyes, all that. Like, all right, we'll see y'all later. Had a lot of fun. Matt almost died in the stairwell, whatever. So I reach in my pocket to grab my keys to get in the car so my wife and I could go back to Waco, and my keys weren't in my pocket. Neither was my wallet, to be honest with you. How I packed all my shit in South Texas and didn't realize that my ID and my car keys weren't in my pocket, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how that happened. I think I left them in Mexico. There's probably some guy who was for a week walking around like hitting the little lock thing to see if the car was parked down there, but no, it wasn't. So then I had to call a friend from Waco to drive down to Round Rock to bring us a spare key. And he had to break into my apartment to get it. So, yeah. Wild stuff. My wife was pretty mad. She was pretty mad at me. Speaking of mad, before I go, I do want to talk about something that kind of pisses me off. Hot take. All right? People, you've got to stop trashing other people's choices and their food and how they eat shit. If I see another person online say, oh, that steak, it's too raw, it's still moving, or oh, that looks like a leather belt, that looks like beef jerky. You can't put cheese on fish. Guess what, asshole? You ain't eating it, okay? I eat stuff the exact way I want to, all right? I eat my steak the way I want to. I eat my hamburgers the way I want to. I'll put fucking Miracle Whip on a sandwich, damn it. To me, it's not salad dressing. It's a sandwich spread. And I'm going to put it on my sandwich. And I don't give a damn what anyone says, all right? The steak, though, man, that gets me. It's like, someone told we went out, we had like a little work function one time, and we went to the steakhouse, and I like my steak medium rare, but if you like it well done, or you like it raw, if you just want to eat it like ta-ta, I don't care that you're eating it, you're paying for it. I don't judge you. It's your life, man. You do what you want. But anyway, I had ordered a steak, and I just politely asked the wait staff, do you think I could have some steak sauce? And she was like, yeah, sure, I'll go get you some. And this dude across from me was like, oh, you're going to piss off the chef. You're not supposed to ask for steak sauce when you order a steak. And I'm like, well, I like fucking steak sauce when I eat my steak. I like ketchup when I eat my chicken. I have to have some kind of sauce with my meat. I'm sorry. Maybe I like sauce. I don't know. Anyway, he told me that. And then the girl, the wait staff, she was like, kind of snickered, almost like, oh yeah, he's going to get mad, right? And I straight up said, listen, I'm the customer. I will ask for ketchup. I will lather the ketchup all over this fucking steak, and then I'll tell you that it's too rare and have him go back, and he can throw this ketchup-covered steak all over his grill. I don't care. I'll do it. I really don't care, to be honest with you. I don't care. Yeah. But anyway, that's all there is for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. This is my 3rd episode. I'm going to keep going. Got a lot of ideas. Got a lot of stories. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you later.